Hello everyone. Hello everyone, very good morning and welcome back to Crack Grade B. Apologies for the delay, we have started a little bit late. But let's start with our next scheme, that is MSME cluster development, right? And we are going to discuss many of the things about this particular scheme. So under this particular scheme, what is happening is that a cluster related development is being planned for the MSMEs industries. What happens is, understand this particular thing, that if you are an MSME owner and you are not able to start your business of your own, there are so many facilities which needed in order to start your business of MSMEs, right? Like your testing related facilities are needed, employee training facilities are needed. If there is any defect in the production plan, then you need to correct it, and for that correction you need a separate unit. You need a quality center where the quality of your products can be checked, right? So all of these are so many various things which are needed whenever you are planning to establish an MSME unit. It might so happen that you are not having enough funds in order to provide for all these kinds of infrastructure amenities. So hence government has come up, or your Ministry of MSME, they have come up with a scheme called as MSME Cluster Development Scheme, right? See over here. So this is the name of the scheme, Micro Small Enterprise Cluster Development. What we are going to talk about in it is, Cluster Development Program was one of the oldest schemes of Office of Development Commissioner in the Ministry of MSME. Earlier, the scheme was revised in 2007 and the last revision came in the 2019. Now, why we are reading this, why this is in our course is because this is being implemented for the 2021 to 2025 cycle, right? Aim is to enhance the competitiveness and productivity of micro, small, medium enterprises. Now, how this particular productivity will be enhanced? So, there are two particular things or two particular components of this scheme. One is your related to common facilities, right, and another is with relation to infrastructure development. So for both of them, separate funding verticals have been provided and government is taking care of both of them simultaneously. So see, objective is to enhance the sustainability, competitiveness and growth of MSMEs. Objectives are always, what you can say, very common sense related. You will not be, so whenever you are going to read any particular scheme, just give a glance over the objectives. You don't have to learn all the objectives. What is important is features of the scheme, right? Components of the scheme, who is the implementing agency of the scheme, what is the funding pattern in the scheme. So these are all the important parameters which you need to remember whenever you are reading about any scheme. So objective is to enhance the sustainability, competitiveness and growth of MSMEs. Next is to build capacity of MSMEs and startups for common supportive action through integration of self-help groups, to create upgrade infrastructural facilities in the new existing industrial areas. This is important and this is the crux of this particular scheme. What you are going to establish is industrial areas. You might have seen in your if you are living in a city, you might have seen that there are industrial areas on the outskirts of the city. Why people tend to establish their industries in those industrial areas? Because it is easier to get several of the facilities for their industry at that location, because some common facilities are provided over there, like your effluent treatment plant. The wastage which is coming out of your factory, it is getting treated under a common effluent treatment plant, which may be not available to you if you have established your industry at a separate location. Hence, there are several of the incentives to establish your industry at your what you can say, in such industrial parks. So you can understand this particular scheme as development of industrial parks for the MSMEs, right? So to set up common facility centers in the industrial area. Now what does common facility center means for us? Testing related, training center, raw material depot, effluent treatment plant, complementing production processes. So all of it is combination of common facilities which are provided to all the MSMEs which are established in a particular area. Suppose if you would have to establish your industry at a separate location, you might require 10 crore rupees, for example. But if you are establishing the same industry in an industrial park, then you might be needing just 5 crore. So your investment becomes half, your efforts become half, because you are being provided with so much facilities by the government. So the components are, let's see the components. There are two components of the MSME CDP scheme, that is cluster development scheme. Number one is common facility centers. We are going to read about funding norms as well. So funding norms are also important over here. This component consists of creation of tangible assets as common facilities in industrial states. And next is infrastructure development. So this is for the development of infrastructure in the new or existing notified industrial states. Now very important thing which we need to understand here is what is the funding patterns. So for common facility this year central government, very important to note who is going to give you funding for it. So central government is the organization who is going to give you the funding. For general category states, it will be restricted to 70% of the cost of project from 5 crore to 10 crore and 60% of the cost of project from 10 crore to 30 crore, as if your investment goes up. Even if your investment is going above 30 crore, see, the project for common facility center with project cost more than 30 crore, it can also be considered, but the government assistance will be calculated at the maximum of 30 crores. Means government will not say if your project cost is 35 crores, government will not reject it. Government will say it is up to your wish, you want to develop it, go ahead with it. But our support will be limited to if we are considering the project cost up to the maximum of 30 crores only. We are not going to go beyond that. So this is the maximum support which the government will provide you. Now this was related to your common facility centers in general category states. What about Northeast, hill states, island territories and aspirational districts? So here government grant is 10% more of what is being provided in the general category states. So if in your general category states 70% is provided for a project up to 10 crore, then in your northeastern states this will be provided at 80% of the cost of project up to 10 crore and 70% of the cost of project up to 30 crores, right? So this is the thing. Now about infrastructure development. Infrastructure development means apart from the common facilities, you need to have certain other infrastructures as well. Like infrastructure like roads construction is also needed. Sometimes there are some industries, for them the transportation cost in terms of railway is easier or is much less costlier. So what happens in all those industries is that let's take an example of, there is a Birla's unit which is situated in Jagdishpur, right? So this particular unit is famous for its connection with the gas pipeline which is in Gujarat, right? So what happens is their transportation happens through the train, and there is a railway line which has been what you can say set up till the factory location, because the transportation cost through railways is super less. So these are all the other kinds of infrastructure apart from common facilities that are needed in order to develop a particular industrial state, right? You need electricity related infrastructure. Who's going to set up the power lines and the other important things which are needed? See, industries need a high amount of power, right? So infrastructure development will include all these kinds of different things which are needed for the functioning of your MSME unit. So this is how government is developing a total cluster so that MSMEs may come and just they can start operating there with the minimum amount of investment that they have to invest. Next, see, for infrastructure development, what will be the government grant? So the government grant for general category states will be restricted to 60% of the cost of project, from 5 crore to 15 crore for setting up new industrial states, flattened factory complexes, and 50% of the cost of project from 5 crore to 10 crore for upgradation of existing industrial states. So this is for new, and this is for old one which is being upgraded, right? Next is in case of northeast and hill states, again whatever is mentioned over here, just 10% above than that. If 60% has been mentioned, then 70% of the cost of project from 5 crore till 15 crores for setting up a new unit, and obviously for upgradation here it is 50%, then here they are taking a 10% more. Here we are taking 60% of the cost of project for the upgradation of existing industrial states and the flatted factory complex. The project for industrial development with project cost more than 10 crore or 15 crore, they can also be taken, but the same thing, the government support will be limited to your 12 crore, 15 crores only, right? Just wait for a second. Yes. So let's start with implementing agencies and the fund release. Who are going to implement these particular schemes, that is setting up of common facility centers. So institutions of Ministry of MSME, NSIC, KVIC, COIR board, technology centers, these are all will be the implementing agencies. Organizations of state government, national and international institutions which are engaged in the MSME sector, and any other institution or agency which is approved by a Ministry of MSME. Regard to infrastructure development projects, your state or UT governments, they will be giving an appropriate agency, integrated industrial park development agency or any other state industrial development agency will be responsible for infrastructure development project. Now funds will be released to implementing agencies in 3 installments, that is 50, 40, 10. Always remember that funding related thing, this particular thing might be important somewhere, but this is not that much important. What you need to understand is how the funding or what is the amount of funding. See, there are always stages in learning anything. First of all, if you can learn each and everything, there is nothing good better than that, right? Now, but if you have a medium kind of memory power, then what you should first invest your memory in, that what is government support under this particular scheme. If you are able to remember it, then you should be moving at a higher level of data criterias. Like in this particular segment, installments are given 50, 40, 10. Now, whatever we are teaching under this particular scheme, not everything and each and every line is not as of same importance. So, whenever you are reading any particular scheme, how you will be deciding the importance? Please see what have been the questions which have been asked in the previous year examinations, right? Now, depending on that, you will decide that what is important in the scheme and what you can just read and move forward. So please always focus on that. Here, the funding related installment, it will be given in 3 installments, that is 50, 40 and 10 after final approval depending upon the implementation plan, progress made, requirements of funds, etc. Right? Next is detailed project report, very important. So when your project has started, what is the progress related to the project that you have to obviously tell. So this you tell in the detailed project report. This is the responsibility of special purpose vehicle or state government to prepare a detailed project report. It should clearly establish how the common facility centers will improve the competitiveness in the MSME units, and it should be aligned with their common aspirations of the enterprises. Next is, these are the two levels. See, obviously for any particular scheme, there are levels of governance. Who's going to implement at the ground level? Now, above than that, what is the agency which is working? Above than that, what is the working, which is what is the agency who is at top? So this is also, you can categorize into a medium importance, not very high importance, but medium importance. Implementing agencies are topmost priority to learn. Who all are your implementing agencies? You should be having those on your tips. But these national level and state level agencies which are monitoring the scheme, this you can give a medium importance, that not very much important, but still you have to remember it, right? So state level steering committees. The state government is required to constitute state level steering committee under the chairmanship of your ACS, Principal Secretary, Secretary, Industries of MSMEs, who are consisting representatives of all stakeholders. National Project Approval Committee, this is at the national level, and they are going to consider and give approvals for the project. This particular agency has to meet at least every 2 months. So this is it with your cluster development scheme. If we are going to sum up this particular topic, what you all need to remember is what kind of facilities here are being provided, what is the government support for that, right? And even if the project cost exceeds beyond that, then what should be the government support in that? These are the things which you need to remember. Apart from, obviously, the important thing is implementing agencies. You need to remember that as well. Now moving on to our next scheme, that is related to interest subvention scheme for the MSMEs. Now, interest subvention scheme is whatever interest amount you are giving on your loans which you have taken. Suppose the loan in which you are paying 9% interest rate. So out of it, 2% will be provided to you interest subvention. That it is a kind of subsidy which is being provided on the value of your interest. And finally, the effective interest rate for you will be, or for MSMEs will be 7%. So government is giving the relaxation to MSMEs on every front. Can you please tell me, or anyone might guess, that why MSMEs are so important for our economy? Any guesses will work. Any kinds of guesses will work. Can you please tell me that why MSMEs are so much important for us? Any answers will do. You've got no answers. So I have a homework for you, right? If you do not know, I'll tell you that on what, see, there can be two scenarios. One scenario is you already know the answer, but you are in the, what you can say, you are very lazy and you do not want to type it, right? Next thing could be you do not know about it. So I'll tell you on what basis you need to see it. So whenever you are reading any topic, try to create a relevance of it in your mind. How will you create the relevance? So this is your homework, because obviously we are not going to. You will get the PDF if you are a course member and you have already purchased the course, then this particular PDF will be available to you. This is the policy. And another thing which I want to ask you is, yes, so we are not going to complete this particular schemes today because it is a lengthy one. This document is a lengthy one. But what I'm going to tell you is, I'm going to ask you few questions. If you are watching it today, what your homework is, please write the answers even either below this video, or even if you are more lazy, then please give me the answers in the tomorrow's lecture or on Monday. So what I'm going to tell you is, what you have to understand is, you already have understood what are MSMEs. You know the definition, right? Because we have already discussed it, which are micro enterprises, which are small enterprises, and which are medium enterprises. So definition part is clear to you, right? This is clear. Now you have to see, or you have to analyze the MSMEs on three different things. What are the MSMEs? What is their contribution in GDP? Go and check it. What is their contribution in exports? Right? And related to that only, they bring in the precious foreign exchange. When you will be searching out for these particular topics, you will also get to know many other things, that in India there is a problem of dwarfism. That dwarfism is the problem when you are giving support to such industries which are micro, small and medium enterprises. You are giving support to them so that in future they can develop into bigger corporates. But what happens actually is, these particular enterprises, they are so used to of support, they do not want to let go of all these government hand holding, and what they do is, they remain micro, small and medium enterprises for their whole lifetime. So this is the problem which India is witnessing. But apart from this problem also, there is a huge what you can say, hand of MSMEs in India's growth story. Hence you have to find out all of these. What is the contribution in GDP, what is the contribution in exports, as well as what is role in earning precious foreign exchange. So now let's talk about the interest subvention scheme for MSMEs. This is your homework. You have to even if you are not telling me, forget about commenting. If you can do it, very good. If you cannot, just do it for yourself. See over here. So interest subvention scheme for MSMEs is encouraging both manufacturing as well as service enterprise. Now here I would like to remind you that we have done away with the differentiation between manufacturing and the service MSMEs. I hope you know about it, that the difference between manufacturing and the service MSMEs have been removed. Now there is no differentiation in the what you can say, classification of MSMEs. There are just two criteria, and those two criteria is, one is investment and the another is turnover. On the basis of that, we decide micro, small and medium enterprise, but we do not differentiate in the manufacturing and the service related MSMEs. Moving on, encouraging both manufacturing and service enterprises to increase productivity and provide incentives for onboarding on GST platform, which helps in formalization of economy while reducing the cost of credit. So this is again a move towards digitalization. See, so this process is a lengthier one. What is the process? See, if you want to gain the benefit of reduced cost of credit, if you want to have the benefit of it, then you have to register on Udyam platform, right? Udyam platform is already linked with the CBDT and the GSTN portal. So once you are registered on it, you are linked from everywhere. Now whatever you will do, this is on the government's record. So government is also benefiting from it, right? The entity will be registered in GSTN. Right now, government is giving support in form of reduced cost of credit. But in future, when this enterprise will grow and it will earn more and more revenue, it is going to give back to the government in form of your GST related tax, right? And also in form of your income tax. So this is a combined scheme, you see. Right now government is giving the support, but government is taking care of its revenues as well. Government is thinking that in future this particular enterprise will develop and we will benefit from it. So I hope it is clear to everyone. Next, see, now what is the eligibility? If you want to take the interest related subsidy, government says first follow these kinds of guidelines. What are these guidelines? So number one is all MSMEs should have valid GST number. You cannot do without it, right? You have to be selected for it. And another is registered on Udyam platform. So what is this Udyam platform? This was started recently in the year 2020, right, by the Ministry of MSME. What is the purpose of it? This does the registration of all the MSMEs under the Ministry of MSME. So we can identify that who are the units which are lying under this particular criteria. This leads to creation of database. In future, if you want to help these MSMEs, you can easily do so with this Udyam portal. Then we have also got, like, we all have Aadhars, right? That is our personal identification. In the similar fashion, MSMEs have also been granted with the Aadhar, that is called as Udyog Aadhar. So in order to identify them separately. So these are all the schemes which have been brought in for the development of your MSME sector, right? So all MSMEs who have valid GSTN number, and they should be registered on the Udyam portal. Requirement of Udyog Aadhar number may be dispensed with for units who are eligible for GST. So Udyog Aadhar number, see, it is required, but the requirement of it can be waived off. That means ministry will not be disturbing you for this particular Aadhar number if you are already registered with the GST. Next, unit not required to obtain GST may either submit income tax permanent account number, or their loan account must be categorized as MSMEs by the concerned bank. Allow trading activities without Udyog Aadhar number. Now what is over here is, see, there is a limit for the registration in the GST. If you are falling below that particular limit, you do not have to get yourself registered. If you are falling above that, then you need to get the registration. Now this is completely voluntary. So if you are not you do not want to register under GST because your turnover is less. So in that particular scenario, no compulsion is there. Even if you are not registered in the GST, we can do with, if your loan account has been categorized as an MSME by the bank, or you have submitted your income tax PAN number. Now what is the assistance that will be provided? So scheme provides for an interest relief of 2% per annum to eligible MSMEs on their outstanding, that means outstanding fresh, incremental or working capital loan during the period of its validity. So all kinds of loans have been covered. The coverage of this particular scheme is limited to all term loans or working capital to the extent of 100 lakhs. That means up to 1 crore. The loan accounts on the date of filing claims should not have been declared as NPA under the extent guidelines, and no interest subvention shall be admissible for any period during which account remains NPA. Implementation: Small Industries Development Bank of India is the single national nodal implementation agency for this particular scheme. Very important to remember. Now what is what I'll tell you is, see, I cannot talk about all of these topics. In between, I'm teaching something important, right? So what you can do is, there is a helpline number of Grade B. Please try contacting there. There will be our assistants. They'll pick up the call and they'll guide you properly on each and every aspect. This will not be good enough if I'll take this topic right now, okay? Next thing, see. National Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Hub Scheme. Now, what we are going to do under this particular scheme is, there is government procurement that happens, right? Government also needs different kinds of product. Now there is a policy of the government that whenever we are going to do the procurement, we will be taking the products from the MSMEs units. Why? In order to promote them, in order to provide the hand holding to them. So this is the what you can say policy of the government. Now out of this public procurement, a fixed percentage has been kept secured for SC/ST originated MSMEs. All those MSMEs whose proprietor or partner is an SC/ST individual, so that it also leads to financial inclusion, it also leads to social inclusion, right? Now with regard to this particular scheme has been launched in order to give the support to all these MSMEs which are led by SC/ST individuals. Yes, so see, the National SC/ST Hub has been set up to provide professional support to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes entrepreneurs to fulfill the obligation under central government public procurement policy for micro and small medium enterprise order 2012, and to adopt applicable business practices and leverage the Stand Up India initiative. Now this Stand Up India initiative, if you remember, this was primarily focused on women and SC/ST individuals in order to uplift them further. So it was this particular scheme was launched in 2016. Implementation has to be done by National Small Industries Corporation, NSIC. You have to remember this. This is under the administrative control of Ministry of MSME. See, one more thing. The type of questions which can be asked is like this. Suppose the name of agency is given. This is your NSIC, right? The question can also arise that it works under the which ministry. So you have to remember whatever important kinds of organization you are studying, like your KVIC, COIR board or your NSIC, please, even if in any document it is not being provided that okay, this particular agency works under which ministry, it is your work, it should be your effort that if you get the hold of this particular PDF, try to find out that okay, this particular organization works under which ministry. This should be your effort, your extra effort, right? So always try to remember important organizations means implementing agencies, and these agencies work under which ministry. This is also a very important point and can be a what you can say potential question in the examination. Now let's talk about the scheme. So this particular scheme is going to be operated from the financial year 2021-22 till 2025. What is the benefit? So the scheme is empowering the SC/ST population to participate in public procurement process and fulfill the mandated target of the 4% procurement from SC/ST enterprise under public procurement policy by the ministry. See, so all these provisions are made to make the inclusive policy framing, because we always want to promote all those disadvantaged sections of society which have been disadvantaged because of the social history or economic history or whatsoever reason that may be following. So whenever you will see any kind of government scheme, they will always have the provision for SC/STs, disabled. You already know about it, right? So hence the public procurement of government also gives a mandated 4% reservation, so that the government organizations, whenever they are giving the tenders to obtain some kind of products, they will also always have to take care that 4% of the total order must be coming from the SC/ST related enterprises in order to support them, right? So the definition of SC/ST related MSME is very important. Please try to pay attention on it. In case of proprietary MSME, the proprietor should be an SC/ST person. In case of partnership MSME, the SC/ST partner shall be holding at least 51% share. That means ownership share should be important. It should be owned by them. 51% share always means that they are the owners. And next is, in case of private limited companies, at least 51% share shall be held by the SC/ST promoters. So if these are the criteria, then your enterprise will be considered as an enterprise which is led by an SC/ST individual. What are the components or interventions? So under this particular scheme, various components have been introduced to cater the needs of SC/ST MSEs, like in the areas of finance, technology, market linkages, capacity building, with a view to provide a conducive ecosystem. Now, let's talk about the implementing agencies and the governance structure. First one is the high-powered monitoring committee. This needs to be chaired by the Minister of MSME with the Minister of State as co-chair. The committee will monitor the overall activities of the hub and will have the power to decide that about any addition of new activity or the function. Then we have got National SC/ST Hub scheme of the Ministry of MSME is implemented by National Small Industries Corporation, that is NSIC. It is a cell created by NSIC to perform day-to-day operation. Now, very important thing, what we are going to do under this particular scheme. Now, our objective was 4% is reserved for SC/ST entrepreneurs in public procurement policy. Now, see, you have reserved 4%, that is okay, but you should be having SC/ST entrepreneurs who can provide you with the products. So this is a two-way support, means first you are enabling them by making a provision of 4%. Then you have to develop them so that they can fulfill this criteria of 4%. Okay, let's talk about it. Very good, Rishabh. So yesterday you asked me one question related to your NRLM and your there was a scheme, PM Jan Dhan Yojana. So I would like to tell you that please go and read that PDF again. There is no mistake. In NRLM scheme, it is being provided that for each women SHG members, minimum 5,000 OD should be provided. Minimum. That means you are setting a minimum limit. You are not setting up a maximum limit. So this was the caveat which you missed in that particular scheme. And talking about the notifications and all those things, I would like to tell you all that please do not talk while I am taking the class regarding when this particular notification come. See, when notification will come, there will sure a video will come up on the channel by sir. So please wait for it, and if in case you cannot wait for it and you need to ask then when the notification will come, I'll suggest you that please call on helpline number. They'll provide you all kinds of help, whatever you are needing, right? With relation to dates and everything. But please, this is my humble request, do not ask in the class because I'm not going to respond to any kinds of such questions, right? Let's come back here. So what are these components related to? Special credit linked capital subsidy for technology enablement, capacity building of existing and aspiring SC/ST entrepreneurs, support for enhancing competitiveness through various reimbursements, and special marketing assistance for SC/ST entrepreneurs. So what should be your key takeaways over here? You are going to provide credit linked capital subsidy. Next, you are going to provide training as well. Capacity building is another term for training. Then you are also going to provide the marketing related assistance for your SC/ST entrepreneurs. Now, combination of all of this will develop. Yes, very good. And just keep it up. So this is the kind of enthusiasm we need whenever we are preparing for anything, and I truly appreciate it. Next is, so please remember, these are all the components which are needed in order to develop your SC/ST entrepreneurs. Going to read about all of these components one by one. Number one is special credit linked capital subsidy for technology enablement of SC/ST. So what you are going to do over here is, this was introduced to promote setting up of new enterprises by aspiring entrepreneurs and capacity building. A special provision of 25% of subsidy to SC/ST MSEs under National SC/ST Hub on institutional finance up to 1 crore for procurement of plant and machinery will be given without any sector specific restriction on technology upgradation has been incorporated under the revised guidelines. Now what you have to pay attention to it, first of all, the finance limit is up to 1 crore. For what this particular finance will be provided? For procurement of plant and machinery. Now subsidy cap of 25 lakhs. How? Because the maximum amount which is for which subsidy is being given is 1 crore. 25% is the provision for subsidy. That means what? 1 crore multiplied by 25%, it is going to remain the 25 lakhs, right? So these are the capital related subsidy which will be provided. Why? So that you can purchase plant and machinery. And once you will purchase the plant and machinery, see, in any kind of business, the major amount of expenditure is a capital expenditure. And this is huge. First, you have to bring in plant and machinery. Then after, you can start working on it. So capital related investment costs a huge chunk of money for these entrepreneurs, and hence government has come up that okay, you are going to establish an enterprise, we will provide you subsidy related to plant and machinery. Please purchase plant and machinery, and 25 lakhs up to 25 lakhs we are going to bear it. Next is capacity building and the training program. So this is a very what you can say, common sense related thing. In any kind of government scheme, if it relates to some kinds of future development and all those things, government always includes a component for training, because all of us need the education to perform better. So this is also the case with the entrepreneurs, and government here is trying to provide them the hand holding on this. So government says for skill development programs, we are mentioning the eligible training institutions who can train you. Training institutions of central government, state government, their public sector undertakings, but private institutions, NGOs are not covered for assistance for conducting capacity building training. Eligibility criteria is candidate should be belonging to SC/ST community. Age of candidate must be above 18 years on the day of commencement of training. Here, the point to remember is government is not going to provide any assistance for private institutions and NGOs who want to conduct the training. The training cost will be released to training institutions on 50, 40 and 10 pattern. NSQF compliant, your skill quality framework should be, your course should be compliant with that and shall be considered under this particular scheme. Then next is your toolkit distribution for capacity building program. The toolkits to be distributed for training programs of advanced level as per the NSQM framework, and the maximum limit on the cost of toolkit is 50,000 per toolkit for every candidate. So these have been the, what you can say, importance of this particular scheme. We have just understood the two components over here. There are more components which have been left, but we are going to cover that tomorrow. So please watch this lecture. And one more thing which I have told regarding the MSMEs, because you are reading about MSMEs, it would be advisable for you if you seek that what is the importance of MSME, like what is their share of export, what is their forex contribution, and as well as the total scenario about MSMEs, because this will give you a perspective. Not just reading schemes is important, but for whatever sector you are going to read the scheme, you should be knowing about that particular sector. why that sector is important, what are the problems in that particular sector. And when you know the problems, then all these schemes will be like, you will be understanding these schemes a little better, that okay, these are the problems. In order to solve these problems, government has brought in such kind of schemes, right? So this is always helpful to create a foundation first and then start moving on it, because talking about schemes is in itself is a lengthy process. So some kind of homework you also have to perform. So this will be my homework for all of you, and please read about it. Do read about it. Forget about commenting. If you can, that is very good, but if you cannot, then please read for yourself. So this is it from today's session. From tomorrow, not because tomorrow is on holiday, we are going to continue on Monday, and please stay tuned. We are going to discuss the remaining portions of this particular scheme, and many more schemes are left in it. Thank you so much.